Hello and good afternoon, everyone. This is Honorable Valencia Stovall coming to you live. Today is February the 21st. This is still season 6. And our topic today is Here Comes the Judge. Well, of course, you're listening to Issues and Answers on WCEG Network, WCEG Talk Radio. We're the worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into community. And this disclaimer says the topics and opinions are those of the show hosts and guests and not WCEG Network. So you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, Instagram at WCEG _talk _radio and at WCEG Network. And also you can follow me on Twitter at Valencia Stovall. Thank you for your continued support and tell a friend. We are back, of course, with more episodes to keep you informed. I do want to take a few seconds to send out a prayer of comfort to the Massey and Sims family. They lost loved ones last week, and so they're good family friends of ours, and I wanted to make sure I send our condolences and continued prayers of peace and strength to them during this time. So today we will, of course, hear from the judge and cover our upcoming events and other popular, I would say, what segment, which is, of course, surprising news. So this is, of course, Black History Month. And our last episode, we talked about Black families and Black leaders, plus Black leaders equal solutions. And one of the final things that I talked about was that they must set an agenda. We're talking about the Black leaders. They must set an agenda and stick to it, no matter who is newly elected. So no matter who's newly elected, our Black leaders, they got to set this agenda, and they must stick to it, no matter who is elected or re-elected. So now, let me give you a little brief of U.S. history, which I know you probably already know, but there are 3 branches of government: the executive, legislative, which is where I served for 8 years, and then there's the judicial, which we'll be talking about today. Have you ever wondered, how does a person become a judge, or why are some of the judges we elect, why there are some judges that we elect and there's some others that are actually appointed? Then also, who regulates the conduct of the judges? As we have seen in the news recently, many of you have seen where President Biden has made it a priority with his request and for an African-American woman to serve as the next Supreme Court justice. And this is due to the retirement of one of the Supreme Court judges. And of course, this is very major. A while back, we had Judge Clarence Thomas, who was actually from Georgia, and he was the first African American to be appointed to the U.S. Supreme Court, and also the first African American male to be appointed. Well, let's get into the episode. When you're thinking about Superior Court judge, it is the Judicial Circuit, which is a trial court of general jurisdiction, which has exclusive constitutional authority. And this is according to the website, Clayton County website. Habeas corpus, mandamus, and a lot of these words, if you're not a lawyer, you get hung up on some of these words. Quo warranto and prohibition, adoptions, and felony cases that are prosecuted by the district attorney's office. And in this particular court, was Clayton County Superior Court, there are a total of 5 judges. There are also 5 courts that makes up Clayton County Circuit. And it's Superior Court, State Court, Magistrate Court, Probate Court, and Juvenile. And just another tidbit of information you may not have known, in Clayton County, the juvenile judge is appointed by the Superior Court judges and is not an elected position, while all the other judges we actually elect in Clayton County. Jury duty, I know y'all love to hear that word, jury duty. It is a part of the court system. Of course, it's a process. And when you hear things where people are charged with crimes, and they say that you're going to go before your peers. That's why it's important to go to be a juror. I'm always excited to be a juror. I guess it might be a little bit because I'm a little nosy and I want to know what the people have been charged with, how they're going to prosecute the case. So I really get excited. But I know some of y'all just couldn't be the ones that despise going to jury duty. No, not the listening audience of issues and answers. Well, of course, to be eligible for jury duty, many people believe that once you register to vote, that's how you get eligible for jury duty. Well, that's not true. You must be a U.S. citizen, at least 18 years old. You must be proficient in English enough to understand and discuss the case. You must be a resident of the county that you are sent the jury assignments for, and you must have not served in the jury in the last 12 months. I don't think I've served in the last 12 months, so I might be soon to get me a jury assignments. Well, of course, we have our special guest. I'm not sure if she's ready to come on yet. And if not, I could definitely talk of some other things. Will you let me know if once our judge is there? Okay. So we will come back as soon as she's here, but because they have a very busy schedule, and we really are very appreciative of her being able to set aside time to speak with us. So I'm going to go into some other things I was going to talk about anyway. And one is, of course, the legislative session is they're still there. And the Georgia General Assembly. And of course, y'all been seeing a lot of things on the news. Boy, it's been firecrackers down there popping. I've gotten a chance to talk to some of my former colleagues, and I just tell them I just pray for them, because there's a lot of things that are going on that when I was serving, we had some controversial things, but not as controversial as I think last session and this session. And of course, you all know it's election year. So there's always some extra stuff that goes on down at the state capitol. But I definitely encourage you all, there are committee meetings that are being held, and some things that you're very interested in, you should attend some of those committee meetings. You can go to the website, www.legisga.gov, and click on either the House or the Senate. Depends on which bill that you want to see or which chamber that you want to list to them convene. They were not there today, so you didn't miss anything, but tomorrow they will be reconvening. And so make sure that you check that out. Last week we talked about those couple of bills dealing with the teaching of history and how history is going to be taught moving forward in the state of Georgia. Those bills are still being deliberated on. And, of course, I also mentioned about the bill about the nonpartisan bill with Gwinnett County School Board. I think that did pass out of the other chamber. And all of those maps that are now being considered will have to be signed by the governor before the normal process of the 40 days after session, because it is an election year, and many of those local elections that will be taking place will have to go by the new maps. Just like the Senate, the representative and the senators on the state level, and also your U.S. Congress representatives and your one U.S. senator's seat that's up for re-election. All of those, the U.S. Senate, because it's statewide, you don't have a redistricting map, but all of the 14 congressional seats did get changed. So where you might have been in one seat, particular seat last year, in 2020 when you voted, it's going to be probably, you may not be in that representative may not be your same person that'll be representing you. So make sure you check your voter page, go to sos.ga.gov. That's the Secretary of State's website. And you can check if you're registered to vote. You can check where your precinct is going to be. You can also check who all of the different districts that will actually fall up under you when you go and vote. And so also, I can talk a little bit about the Teen Summit. We had an outstanding Teen Summit on this past Saturday. OMG, like they say. Working with Honorable Deidre Pondexter, who's also our Clayton County Water, Conservation, Soil, and Conservation Supervisor. I hope I got that right, because every time I have to say it, I get it mixed up. My tongue gets tired. But this event was co-hosted by myself and Deidre Pondexter with Change for Hope. and the outstanding collaboration of our planning committee. Of course, the Clayton County Library System Director-elect and her outstanding staff. They just showed out. We were at the new library, the Northwest Branch Library, and some of the committee members, I definitely want to take time to give them a shout out. They are, of course, Deidre, Archer Emerson with Dedicated Realty and NID Housing Counseling, Rebecca James with the Clayton County Library System, Arvis Walker with Forever CNA Trucking, and she's also the president of the Clayton County PTA Council. We had Sally Lothridge, Michaela Lothridge, Janera Ingram, and Linda Sasing, and they're with 6 Steps to Career Success. And they actually are the ones that formulated our scenarios that we use to give to the students. So big shout out for them. Kimberly Winston, Arthea Nixon, and a special thanks to Leah Yanis for she was the one that was updating our flyers as we got the sponsors in, and also updating the Change for Hope website. She did a fantastic job. And just a little secret about Talia. I met Talia when she was in the 6th grade. She was with the FCCLA at Babb Middle School up under Miss Lillian Mitchell, who does an outstanding job with the FCCLA at Babb Middle School in Forest Park. But that's when I first met Talia. And now just to see her have matured and grown, she's a senior this year, but she actually started doing her classes online with Georgia Connections. You all know how I feel about school choice. I think I took my I had my scarf up there. I took it down. I'm going to put it back up there. But she's a product of school choice. So her mother started off in traditional public school, and then she later saw, hey, I want a different setting for my daughter, or her parents said that. And now she's finishing out with Georgia Connection, and actually has already finished all of her courses. She's just waiting to March. And what this is, February. So she's an outstanding student who's also interested in political science. Would you believe that? Okay. But thanking her for the job that she did. And, it wasn't easy working with Deidre and myself because both of us are fireballs. And sometimes it could be a bit much, but we appreciate it. But let me tell y'all some of the questions we actually asked the students. I'm going to be real quick with it, but it takes, and I have to mention this because it was just amazing to see those teenagers. We had middle school and we also had high school. I don't know if we had anyone up to age 21, but we did have middle and high school. And we had 2 sessions. So they didn't have to stay there all day. We had a morning session, an afternoon, and we also had virtual. And so we want to thank that particular teacher. I think her name was Fitling, for actually being the one that actually helped us lead up the online version of it. So one question, this is to the middle school. It is your parents' birthdays and you want the family to go out to dinner. You pick a nice restaurant. Your family's dinner is a total of $175. You must tip the waiter or the waitress, the standard 15%. So what is your dining total? So they had to figure out what exhibitor they were going to go to about this dinner. And then they had to figure out how much was that tip going to be. So I'm going to let you all figure it out. It was $175. 15% was the tip amount. So how much total would they had to spend for that particular dinner? So that was the middle school. For the high school, we asked something like, let's see, I marked them off on here. Okay, your 2015 Forward Focus has broken down again, and you need to get to work. You can't take public transportation because you don't have time. So what is a quick way that you can get to work? So that was another scenario. And of course, it would have been alternative transportation, or Uber, Lyft, or you might have been able to call a friend if you had a friend that was driving and be able to take you to work. Okay, another question we had for the middle and high school. You have been listening to the news and wonder if the way history is being taught in your public school will change. Where can you share your concerns? So of course, the answer to that one was your federal, state, and school board elected officials. So we had a station, and I want to give a special shout out to Magistrate Judge John Parker, who was our guest and one of our exhibitors, to talk to the students about the magistrate court, how it works. And we even had some scenarios where some kids had received tickets that they had to pay off. So they had to go over to the judge's table to find out how much the cost of that ticket. We even had a scenario where we gave them $1,700 a month for their monthly expenses. Then that was how much they earned a month. And then we told them all the different expenses they had to go and find out how much it was and come up with what the total expense was that they had for the month. So electricity, car repair, car insurance, life insurance. If they wanted to go and travel somewhere, they had childcare, the court ticket, and they had a car note. So they had to go around to the different stations. So some of our sponsors I did want to mention while I have time. Of course, the Clayton County Library System, Georgia Youth Career Center, which is one of the company that I founded. Forever CNA Trucking, Georgia Power, Dedicated Realty, the Women's Council, KBCE and Media Group, Global 7, Headshots, and oh my goodness, Headshots were there. They had a rotating camera that they could take it. They played the music. Some of y'all might have saw my video. If not, you can go on my page and see my video. I wasn't dancing or anything. I just was standing still like the Matrix. But they did an outstanding job. Ride to the Olympics, NIG Housing Counseling Agency, LDLT Cups, our t-shirts that we had, Country Financial, Royal Diadem International Consortium, Necrosis Catering, Your Resume, Your Future, Poindexter Transportation, Mix 106 Radio, and yes, DC came out to visit with us and even got an adjustment for the chiropractor. We actually had a chiropractor that was there. Val Promotions, State Farm, Mia McWhorter Agency, Ambassador Agency, X Lab, Stanley and Clementine Rivers, that family gave a donation, Synovus Bank, and 6 Steps to Career Success. So some of our general vendors and exhibitors were, I talked about the magistrate court, No Toe Souls Catering Company. We also had Georgia Stand Up, who talked to them about voter registration, the Magnet Group, which was Southside Towing Services, Mr. Evans Car Repair, Necrosis. We also had, of course, I said Synovus Bank. We had Primerica, Enterprise Car Sales talked to the students about when they had to purchase a car. And then for the vendors, we had Global 7. They actually performed COVID testing on the site. So you had 2 tests that you took. One, you got 20 minutes result, and the other one, of course, they email it to you. 7 Pillars Phoenix Robotics, that's 7 Pillars Career Academy. The robotics team with Sharon Daniel were there, the students, and they also were volunteers. We had Class Travel Experience, Girl Service Successfully, Girl Scouts 3A's Charm Service, and yes, I got my Girl Scout cookies, so I don't have to track anybody down on the streets. We had LaWay Event Staffing, Southside Riders, so I got a chance to meet some African-American horse riders, and they were there. Southern Crescent Sexual Assault and Child Advocacy Center, KHS Consulting, Jonesy's Place. And so those were just a few, those were exhibitors that we had that came out and spent time with us at the Teen Summit. And so that was a full Teen Summit that we that we did on this past Saturday. So you can definitely look at Change for Hope, look up that their page, or Deidre Poindexter, or my page, Arvis Walker, some other people that were posting pictures from this Saturday. So, that was a great event. Some other things I wanted to mention as well, 7 Pillars is still having their mission, Wipe It Clean, where they have Clorox wipes. And you all know we still are facing the virus, so we need those wipes. But they have them as a donation you can make for 80 counts. You get 3 packs for $10. 1 case is 6 packs for $18. Okay, and 7 cases, 42 packs, $120. And you can call 404-500-1294. Okay, I was just informed that our special guest is here. And so I'm honored to have our very special guest, Clayton County's Chief Superior Court Judge, Honorable Geronda V. Carter. Welcome, Judge Carter, to Issues and Answers on WCEG Talk Radio.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
I know you had a long day, which is every day is a long day. So we definitely appreciate you taking time. I know you never know when you get to the courtroom what that day is going to look like and how it's going to end.
Yes, ma'am. You are so right. I was literally just able to disconnect for a moment. So I was hoping I wasn't cutting it too close here for you.
No, that's not. I got finished with my introduction a little early, and I said, well, I'll talk on some other things I was going to talk about later. So I did that to make sure that we were able to bring you in on time.
Very well. Thank you.
So let's start off. What are some of the responsibilities that you have as Chief Superior Court Judge?
Well, the position of chief just indicates the addition of some administrative responsibilities, right? And what I like to respond to what I like to say when I respond to that question is that it doesn't make me the boss of anybody, because for some reason people like to think that means that I'm in charge of all of the other judges, and it doesn't mean that at all. It just means that I'm responsible for making sure that I provide the unified voice of the court.
Okay.
After consulting with all of the judges, then I just provide the majority opinion, so to speak, on what position that we'll take as judges.
Okay. Well, thank you for clearing that up, because sometimes you hear the words chief, supervisor, superior, and people, oh, they're in charge. Let me go to that person for everything. So
Yes.
thank you for clearing that up. And how long have you served as a judge?
Well, let me clear up my lighting a little bit better. I have served as a judge for just over 17 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I started out in magistrate court. I accepted an appointment in magistrate court that began in January of 2005. And then it was not too long after that that the citizens of Clayton County elevated me by electing me to the Superior Court bench in December of 2006.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's a long time. A good time, but long time, but a good time. So when did you decide that you wanted to be a judge? Some people, when you talk to them, they say, oh, I want to be something that's not just haphazardly fell into this particular position. Like for me, I didn't say growing up, oh, I want to be an elected official. It happened. And so for you, what would you say caused you, or that turning point that you end up becoming wanted to become a judge?
Well, it occurred for me back in 2004 when I was first asked to accept the appointment to magistrate court. Really, it wasn't on my radar because I knew that if you wanted to make some good money in the legal field, it was by practicing law, not really by being a judge. Because of my background, I was interested in making money. Coming from an at-risk background, I wanted to make some money as a lawyer. And so when I was asked in 2004, initially I said no. And it wasn't until the third time that I was asked by the then chief judge. It was Daphne Walker at that time in magistrate court. And she specifically asked me to pray about it before I answered her the third time, because I believe she knew I wasn't praying, because it was an immediate response. And I did. And it was after that I knew that I needed to say yes. And once I got in the position, I realized why I needed to be there.
Wow, yeah. A lot of times, like you said, no, I'm not thinking about that. And yeah, but once you pray about it, that's a done deal. Once the Lord said, hey, this is what I want you to do, you just have to say, okay, Lord, you got to guide me for that. Because that wasn't what I was thinking about.
Exactly.
Same thing happened, with me. I was like, oh, no, I don't want to be elected. That's my mouth going to get me in trouble. I said, no, you're going to use your mouth for the right thing.
Amen. Amen.
And so I know that there's life beyond being a judge. And a lot of times people don't realize that judges are human beings. So how do you balance work and family life?
Hmm. Very delicately, okay? I think you know this. When you are called into a profession that requires a lot of your time, and not just 9 to 5, but when you're receiving calls at night and on the weekends, it's something that you have to take seriously in terms of trying to find the right balance. And so you have to be careful not to get the priorities out of order. From where I'm from, the top priority is God and then family. And then work has to come somewhere after that. But again, when you're called into a position that sometimes requires you to ask family to hold on for a minute, let me take care of this as it relates to work, then you have to find that balance. I have to admit that sometimes it's a struggle, particularly during the pandemic. It was a struggle. So as we did the hybrid thing, as we're still doing, of court virtually and court in person, there at the courthouse, you don't know when to turn it off, right? You have to find, the right balance in that. And so sometimes that can be difficult. And then also it's important when you talk about work-life balance, you have to balance in such a way that you find enough time for self health. All right, because if you don't take time for that, then work won't get done, and neither will anything that you need to do for the family. So you gotta find your outlets, and you gotta know when to say no and when to say yes.
Yes, that's a challenge because you want to serve, but then you know that like you said, God and your family. Because if you don't have your family, you're really not going to be able to be an effective servant. If you don't have the strength of your family supporting you. So yeah, I know that can definitely be a challenge with that. So what are some roadblocks that you've had to overcome in your position as becoming a judge or even as a judge?
Well, I think probably for me, the major roadblock was the becoming part, right? In saying yes when you realize that there are folks who see something in you that says you should be doing this. Um, and so for me, in addition to some practical things that we won't go into right now, I did have the issue of wondering whether I was enough for this. Um, and for me, my questioning whether I was enough was a result of my background. I was born to a father with an eighth grade education, a mother who dropped out of high school because of teenage pregnancy. And so despite the fact that I graduated from Spelman magna cum laude and went to law school at the University of Miami and was selected for the moot court board and on the editorial board of one of the law reviews, it's that still was in the back of my mind, because you see these people who are judges and their presumptions about them. But once I realized that it was because of those reasons that I needed to be where I am right now. um, once I realized that, that in and of itself was empowering, because it's those circumstances that you find yourself in as a result of having that background is a lot of the reasons why I see the people in front of me. So I can identify with those folks on a level that a lot of other judges cannot.
Yeah.
But I had to break down that barrier within myself. And so I'm hoping that as other people tune into you and hear that, if they're struggling with anything like that, that they just get out of their own way.
Yeah. A
Hmm.
lot of times fear, I've learned, I've been taking some empowerment classes, and fear can keep us from a lot of things that we can be so much greater, but because, like you said, fear of not being good enough, or are they going to understand what I'm saying, or what if this happens? What if that happens? And so by the time you get through with the what ifs, you say, oh, I guess I'm not going to do it. And so that's definitely a challenge. Those are some things that I even faced, with deciding to run for office and then taking on leadership positions in the office. And so, yeah, and it was constant. It wasn't that it ever stopped. It's like the more responsibilities you receive, the more the fear, the stronger that it got, and the more you had to fight it to say, no, if this is what I believe that God has told me to do, the Lord has showed me that he's going to give me everything I need, what he has already given me that I didn't know I needed at the time. I was younger, things happened. And then now I'm like, oh, that's why I had to do that.
Exactly. And there's a reason why those things come up to try and keep you believing that, right?
Yeah.
So it can try and prevent you from getting where you're supposed to go, and that's to your purpose, right? Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times we hear, we've heard about the roadblocks. So what are some of the most rewarding aspects? And I think you kind of shared some of it by saying, understanding the citizens that are those who are coming before you in the court and understanding where they are because of some things that you had to face in your past. But what are some other things you would like to share that's been rewarding aspects of being a judge and being in that position?
Well, I think one of the most rewarding aspects of being a judge for me, and probably for any other judge, is that we get to be the person that assists with restoration, right? In some shape, form, or fashion, right? Everybody's not going to be happy because most of the time when you have cases, right, it's 50% will be happy, 50% will be unhappy. But the main thing is making sure that everyone feels as if justice is served. Because just because you don't get what you want doesn't mean that you can't feel as if justice was served. Was it a fair process? The judge who was supposed to pretty much be the referee, did they referee fairly, right? And was the law applied? And so as the judge, you have your piece of the puzzle that you have to put in place. Everyone else there that's a part of the process has a piece of the puzzle. And so the main thing is, as the judge, if you're able to put your piece in place without it being distorted, without you distorting it, without you trying to distort anyone else's piece, if everyone is able to put their piece in place, then the picture will be created in such a way that it represents what it should. And so I think it's rewarding for me when I'm able to do that.
Wow. Yeah. I think a lot of times the average citizen or the average person doesn't even probably think about that when they come into the court, that the judge is there to put that piece in place. And like you said, to serve as a referee, in deciding on whatever the case or the matter is. And so with that, sometimes, like you said, you have that 50 that it works good, the other 50 that it doesn't. And so we know that there is a regulation committee or department or agency that's set up. And so what role does Judicial Qualifications Commission of Georgia serve?
So the JQC, if you will, is what we refer to it for short. They're pretty much responsible for enforcing compliance with the judicial code, which regulates ethical behavior, when it promotes ethical behavior and prohibits unethical behavior. And so I like to explain it when I tell folks, and I know you're familiar with it some because you participated in some of the preside-alongs, but it explains why I can't talk to you about an open case. And so when I see citizens that I love to see, by the way, in the grocery store and places, I can't talk. No, don't talk to me. I can't talk to you about that case because I'm prohibited from doing so, right? It's ex parte, meaning it's just you there. The other side isn't there. And then also, even if you both were there, we're outside of the courtroom. I should only hear your voice inside of the courtroom. So that's one of the examples. So if I were to get caught doing that, then it would be a violation. And then I could get in trouble with who? With the JQC. And there are a lot of other things that are regulated. Like I shouldn't hear let's say my pastor has a case, I shouldn't hear that. My friend has a case that's in the court system, it's assigned to me, I should recuse from that. A fellow congregant, I shouldn't hear that case. And so they regulate things like that. I also shouldn't be a bully from the bench. I shouldn't bully, the lawyers as they come in. I should actually apply the law and not just go with how I feel, because a lot of times that happens. We may feel a certain way about something, but that's not what I'm charged with doing. I have to follow the law. And if I don't like the law, then it should be changed by the legislatures, not by me. And so that's just an example. So they regulate us. They keep us in order.
Okay. And just for you all to know, the JQC, or the Judicial Qualifications Commission of Georgia, it was created by the legislature. And the legislature also has the power to be able to change how the setup is of the JQC. I think the governor appoints the JQC, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember. I know dealing with some legislation that we had a while back.
You guys amended it, and you guys amended it in 2016. It is constitutional. So you guys actually made an amendment to it, and it was to provide for various appointments.
Okay. Thank you for that reminder. So much be going on down there. And I'm always amazed how lawyers and judges, y'all keep up with all the changing legislation that happens during 140 days of session.
Well, listen, we rely on our staff attorneys, so don't think we know it all ourselves, because it would be way too much to store. But we rely on our staff attorneys for that. We appreciate all that our General Assembly does to make sure they stay abreast of our needs and that they take care of the judiciary.
Yes. And so why should citizens be happy to serve as jurors? So I know anytime I'm talking to people, and one time I got my juror summons, I was excited. They said, "Why are you excited?" I said, "Because I get the chance to go be nosy." I said, "I get a chance to hear that side, and then, decide what I think is, according to the law, what the verdict should, what should happen to that person." And so a lot of times people say, "Oh man, I got jury duty. Let me figure out how to get out of it." I said, it's against the law. You can't be trying to get out of bench serving as jury duty. So will you tell us why they should be happy to serve as jurors?
Well, the first thing is, it's not a perfect system, but it's the best one out there. I mean, do the research, check on the systems in other countries. We have the best one. It's not perfect, by a long shot, but it's the best one out there. Our system wouldn't work without jurors. Mm-hmm. It just would not work without jurors. And so we need jurors. They are a piece of that puzzle. All right. What I like to tell the jurors, because I get them all the time, they come in and they try their best to get out of service. Some of them do a pretty good job, but others want to serve like you. They either just want to contribute or they want to just see what's going on. And but the main thing is for jurors to remember this. If you talk about the system not being fair, but you don't want to serve to make sure it's fair at least this one time when you're called to be a juror, because you have a say in whether or not it goes down like it's supposed to, as a juror. And then just think about the people who are asking for you to serve. So whether it be the victims or the accused, they need a jury of their peers, right? And we know that right lies and exists for the defendant. But if everyone who is a peer of that person is trying to get out of jury service, then they're going to be left with other people. But it's your chance to make sure it's fair. And so what you do as a juror is that you just come and you listen to the evidence that's presented. Then you decide what you believe are the facts from that evidence. And then you apply the law and you come up with a decision. And if you are a fair person, then that's all that matters, right? The fact that you heard about another case that wasn't fair has nothing to do with the case that you're being called to be a juror on. This is your chance to provide that fairness that you believe is so evasive, right?
Right.
So it's important. We need jurors really, really bad. And we definitely need jurors right now as we're, maneuvering still through the pandemic.
Right. So those of you all who always trying to run and hide from being jurors, I always tell people that what if it was you, or what if it was your family member or someone close that you know that's going up before jury trial, and everybody, they couldn't find a jury and they had to keep postponing the case. You wouldn't be happy because nobody wanted to step up. So that's what I usually would tell my constituents when they would talk, anybody we get into a conversation. I said, just think of if that was you on that bench and you know that you believe you didn't commit that crime, and you want them to find you not guilty, or you know that other person that you saw committed the crime and you want them to find that person guilty. Well, if there's no jurors there, how can the case be heard?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm glad you're out there doing that. Maybe we can have more people do that. Then I can get folks in there who are just, everybody's eager to serve, and it would take much less time to strike a jury too.
Right. And plus you get $25, y'all. So I know you might think that's not much. I think y'all should talk to the legislature, since they got a little excess of money, that maybe they can increase that jury money, send it down to the counties, and it increases, especially since it's a pandemic. We're going through the pandemic. A lot of people need a little something extra. That's just a thought. But for any young person who is listening and interested in being a lawyer, then hopefully a judge, what do you wish that you had known on your journey to becoming a judge that you would like to share with them?
Well, I think I could just refer back in the first instance to what I mentioned previously. Don't doubt yourself. And then when that doubt comes in, know where it's coming from. Right? It's coming from a source that whose advice you don't need. And so then that'll help you get over that hump a little sooner. But what I'd also suggest is that right now for us, particularly right now for our youth, is that it's important for you to live out the phase that you're in right now. Don't try and rush anything, right? So enjoy where you are right now, because there are plenty of things that you can learn, as the Honorable Valencia Stovall just mentioned previously. Like, there are things that are going on while you're in the midst of that environment that are going to be important for where you end up and what you'll have to use when you get there. Also, listen to those who are in authority, whether it be your parents who are raising you, your grandparents, uncles or aunts. And in these days, you may have an older sibling who is assisting with raising you. Listen to them. They share their experiences with you so that you do not have to make the same mistakes, right? You generally will already have evidence of the outcome from that mistake. And so just say, okay, I'll just learn from what you experience. I'll move on. Of course, you're going to make your own mistakes. We all do. So we don't think that you're going to be perfect, but we need you. Okay, we need you. We're becoming the generations of our parents, and then we're going to become the generation of our grandparents. So we're going to be looking at you to be doing this. Right? I'm going to be looking at someone else, me, the new me in generations to come, which is you, will be sitting here speaking with someone else who will be sitting in the Honorable Valencia Stovall's place. And so we need you guys to be ready for this. And we're counting on you. And we know that you can do it. That's what I would say to our youth right now. And it's hard right now. You already know that. That it's hard out there for the youth right now, especially with all the transitions the past 2 years and the things that have gone on. And we know that, and we feel it. We feel it for you. But you can get through this, and we're ready for you to start preparing yourselves to take over the reins.
Most definitely, because we can't stay here forever. Not in this position. We could go do some other stuff, but not in this position. We have to make room and pass the torch. And know that we've done a good job with being a good example, being a good mentor. And then that's when you're able to pass the torch. I think a lot of times when individuals don't feel like they've completed everything they're supposed to complete, they holding on. Instead of saying, okay, I've done what all I can. I done trained some new folks to come in. and I got to feel good about what I trained them to do. So now it's my time to step aside and then let some other people come in. They're gonna make mistakes, but I'm here, as a support, support to them. And everybody needs a mentor. Everyone needs a coach, because there are things that you won't see that someone else will see, because they're not looking at it through the eyes that you're looking at it. So that's some very, very great advice. And we thank you so much, Judge Carter. Do you have any final comments that you would like to leave with our listening audience?
Well, I was going to drive home the issue of the jurors, because we do need jurors. I think I probably focused enough on that, though. But we need you. And so whatever jurisdiction you are in, if you are called to serve, please present yourself ready and available to do that, whether it be for the traverse the trial juries, or whether it be as grand jurors. The court system itself, you've seen that we've been moving forward and trying to get back to some sense of normalcy, but we're still pretty much everywhere in a hybrid situation. So we continue to ask for your patience as you come through the courthouses, because we're still generally requiring that folks, of course, wear masks in the courthouse, because you're coming to a place where people are required to come. So it's not a discretionary place. It's not our restaurant or our grocery stores. This is a place where people have to come if they're summoned or if they have a case. And so we appreciate everyone's patience. And then, of course, I want to thank you, okay, for having me, for asking me to be here with you today. This is a wonderful forum, and I appreciate being a part of it.
Well, we thank you. One of our goals is always to empower and educate our listening audience. And one of the things I try to look around to things when I was elected, not elected, and see which ways we can give people more information and opportunity. And so I just thank you for being able to set some time aside. I know from your very, very busy schedule, but to be able to, let people know, like I said, that judges are humans too. Even though we go into a courtroom, everybody gets scared, the heartbeat start doing like this. You almost wonder, can the judge hear your heart beating through your chest? But they can't hear your heart beating through your chest. But I really appreciate all the information and, some of those words that I was reading about what the duties of the Superior Court Circuit trial court does. And I told myself, I'm not a lawyer, so I know I messed up some of those words. And then when you said ex parte, I was like, oh, that's what that means, that the other party is not there. I said, oh, we got a good language arts lesson today, because I did not know what that meant. So thank you. Thank you for that. Yes, and so we really appreciate you coming on. And I'm going to continue on with the show. And so you're definitely free to be able to leave. I know you got a lot of other things to do, and we just appreciate so very much your time sharing with us on Issues and Answers.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. And so we're really, really appreciative of Chief Judge, Superior Court Judge Carter, Geronda Carter, for joining us on this afternoon. We know her schedule, just like any other judge, is very busy, and we're working to be able to have other guests on, other judges in some of the other courts, whether it's probate, magistrate, state court, because we think it's important. If you happen to go to court, you need to know who you're going to see and what is that particular court does, because some stuff you don't learn in school. I mean, I don't remember learning about the different courts. I knew about the three branches, but getting into what each court system does and what they're responsible for, all the time I knew is if I end up having to go, or somebody I know had to appear before the judge, when you got that summons, you'll hear by a summons to appear before such and such a judge, or if when I with my divorces, I had to go before the judge. So that was the time that I went. But we really appreciate her taking time and kind of explaining how the court system works. And sometimes we just don't know about it. So I'm going to go into my announcements. I only have about 10 minutes left. I thank you all for tuning in to Issues and Answers on WCEG Talk Radio. And so, like I said, we're going to try to get some other judges in, try to get a DA, district attorney in, solicitor general. So you all know what they are. These are elected positions. So they might not be up for election this year, but eventually in one of the even years, they're going to be up for re-election. And so you want to be able to know, oh, okay, that person presided over my case. Oh, that person's name was on my ballot. So if you feel that they're doing fair, you re-elect it. If you feel that they're not being fair, you don't re-elect it. Or if you feel that you went to court and there was an issue and you don't feel that the judge was fair, you heard Judge Carter talk about the JQC, which is the Judicial Qualifying Commission of Georgia. And you can Google that to get that information. So everyone has someone that they have to be accountable, someone or something that they have to be accountable for. Even as elected officials, we all have some kind of accountability. And at the end of the day, the final accountability for elected officials are you as the voters. So if you vote someone in and they continue on and you complain about them, even if you didn't vote for them, somebody else or a whole lot of other majority voted for that person. So you need to go find out who they are and let them know that that person that you didn't want in is still being reelected and they're not doing anything. So this is a big election year. You have the statewide election starting with the governor, lieutenant governor, and all of those, the other top positions. You have the state elected for the representatives and the senators. And you also have the Congress, the U.S. representative. You also have one U.S. senator. You have some local school boards and some city council. And you also may have also some county commissioners that's elected. That'll be elected this year. And this is all over the state of Georgia. So it's not just in Clayton County. When I'm talking with my show, it's not a Clayton County show. It's a Georgia and United States show because we deal with issues not just locally, statewide, and even nationally, even internationally, we want to talk about. So talking about statewide, March the 21st is going to be Single Parents Day in the state of Georgia, according to House Resolution 279 that was signed into law May 2018. And that was my second piece of legislation that was signed into law. And I was the author of that legislation. And because being a single parent myself, I knew that there are resources that were needed for our single parents. And I want to recognize the outstanding job that our single parents are doing across this particular state. So we're going to have, we're going to be live from the state capitol on March the 21st. I'll be doing a Facebook Live. And then later on that day is my regular show. And we're going to still be at the Capitol talking about Single Parents Day. So on that day, we're going to be asking you to hashtag thank a single parent. And we're going to also be getting information about how to share a video about your single parent. It doesn't matter if your single parent is still a single parent, or it might have been your mom, might have been your dad or auntie, uncle, somebody, grandmother. A lot of our grandparents are serving as second-time parents, for their grandchildren. Some might be the great-grandchildren. Who knows? But we need to thank and recognize our single parents and the outstanding job that they're doing. So you're going to hear some more about it. And if you want to participate, definitely let us know. But that's where we're going to be on March the 21st. Is celebrating Single Parents Day in Georgia at the state capitol. Europa Day culture celebration is coming up again. It will be April the 30th, and it'll be virtual again. And Europa is one of the largest African tribes in Africa, and they spread across the different continents. We'll hear from actually 2 kings and visit their palaces. All of this will be done virtually. Where they'll be sharing music, art, fashion, and historical sites. I was talking fortunate enough to be on the phone with one of the kings, and he was telling me about a tree. I don't remember the name of the tree. I got to get it, but one of the trees that's a part of their tradition, that they actually go to this particular tree anytime there's a problem or someone wants something to happen. They lose a child, or, you look at a child is missing, or a woman is barren, or whatever the case might be. They go to this particular tree, that's a historic tree, and they give prayers. And he said that when those prayers are lifted up, they do get a solution for them. So I was just fascinated because I was thinking about Black Panther, the movie Black Panther, when the ancestors, when the gentleman went to the tree where the ancestors were located. They was, sitting in the form of a panther around the tree. And immediately I just thought about that, like, oh, I remember the tree and Black Panther. So I'm all excited. So I can't wait to be able to share that with you. But that will be Saturday, April the 30th. We'll be doing it virtually, the Europa Day Culture Celebration. So I want to make that announcement. We talked about Seven Pillars Career Academy, their fundraiser they're doing early on. And they're also currently enrolling 6th through 9th grade students. It is a free public charter school. Just so y'all know, every charter school in the state of Georgia, in the United States, is free. It is not a private school. The money that goes to the charter schools does not take away from your traditional public school. All the kids need to be educated. It does not matter in what form they're being educated, as long as when they turn 18, they are able to be productive citizens, so that people like Judge Carter and others, they don't have to hear cases where they are criminal cases. And a lot of times it's based on those individuals not having the standard of education that they need to be able to be productive citizens. They end up being a menace to society. So we want to cut back on that. So that's why school choice is important. It's not what all y'all hear about, oh, it's taking money. Whose money? It's the taxpayers' money anyway, so it doesn't matter. And if the parents have decided their kids going to private school, the school system been getting that money anyway. They're not educating the kids. None of those kids are sitting in those seats. So they've been getting free money. I look at it, extra money all these years. So if a parent want to use that money that they've been paying to go educate, further their child's education for something they might not can afford, then so be it. Let it happen. And when you talk about accountability, I know I got about 3 minutes now, but you talk about accountability just in a private school, you know what their accountability is. If the parent don't like what's going on in the private school, guess what? They withdraw their child, take their tuition money to another institution. And when we're talking about public money going to private, what do we do with the Pell Grant? That's public money going to private schools, like I was talking about HBCUs, some of our other private institutes. The people that get Pell Grant, that's public money. That comes out of our federal tax dollars for that. Also, when you think about pre-K, yes, pre-K, that's public money. It could go to a private pre-K childcare. You hear anybody say, oh, that's taking money out of the public school? Nobody says that when they're dropping their children off at their private pre-K program. They're not saying that. So anyway, I got over there a little bit, but anyway, 7 Pillars. You can give them a call, or you can go to their website, 7pillarsca.org for Charter Academy. All right, so we're almost down. We have about 2 minutes left. So I finished up my announcement. Say what? So I got a short say what because I only have 2 minutes. So now I was looking, I got an email, and on this email, it said that about this candidate needs some more money. So I figured it was amazing how some of the candidates have raised millions of dollars, but are still acting like they don't have enough money. When you get those emails, you'll be like, oh, I got to give some money. They need some more money. And so this is what this particular email said. Despite our Senate majority hinging on senators' re-election race, this particular senator, I'm not giving nobody name. And then it said, despite the entire Republican Party trying to destroy this particular senator, and despite asking for your support every single day, this was in the email now, y'all, we're still desperately behind on our goal to support Democrats like this senator. Need your help to catch up. What kind of catch up if I want to know what kind of catch up you're going to need if 23 million has already been raised, which is more than the opposing candidates. One of the opposing candidates has raised 5.4 million, the other 920,000. So y'all be looking at, y'all probably getting these emails, but you got to compare. So what kind of catch up you need if you got 23 million and your opponent is 5.4? And guess what? They got these other opponents, which are Republicans, got to go through a primary election. So they're going to eliminate and end up being one person that's going to be in the general election. All right. So then I heard there was another bill floating around the Capitol that introduced to stop non-elected candidates from raising money while the elected officials in legislative session. So let me tell you. So say if somebody named Sue, we're gonna just make that name up. Sue was running for office. Sue is not elected. So Sue can go and raise money right now. All Sue wants to raise. Well, now Sue's opponent, Representative Bridge Builder, we'll say that, is in legislative session where Representative Bridge Builder cannot raise any money because it's against the ethics. So now there's a bill that's going to be introduced that says Sue don't need to raise money because Representative Bill Builder can't raise no money. Now you all come on. Is it just because this is it's election year and this particular and it's being led up, I think, by the governor? So is it because of this election year that now, we need to change the policy? No, let Sue raise money, because guess what? Representative Bill Builder probably already got a heavy chest of money in there. As soon as session is over with, Representative Bill Builder is going to be getting some extra money in that Sue, the candidate, not going to get. So anyway, I just want to say what? Yes, that's what's going on around Georgia. Well, thank you all. Time has caught us, but we will be back for our next show on Monday, March the 7th at 4 p.m. March the 7th. I'll let you all know who our special guest is going to be. But the goals of Issues and Answers with Honorable Stovall is to educate you on those things you might not think about unless you are in a situation to be concerned. All right, and if you have some show ideas you would like for me to consider, send me an email to contact@ghoststovall.com. Contact, CONTACT, @ghoststovall.com. All right, till the next time, y'all be safe, and we'll see y'all on March the 7th.